Welcome to Success Your Own Way, a podcast about how real people define and redefine success throughout their careers. Hosted by Tina Shurick and Yifat Rogers, this show features candid conversations with guests who've made intentional choices, navigated change, and built lives aligned to their values. Their guests share their stories as well as strategies and tactics that help them along the way. Tina's a certified coach and a former corporate leader who supports professionals in making confident, values-driven decisions. Yifat is a consultant with a background in food science and engineering, helping people solve complex problems with a practical, no-nonsense approach. Each episode offers inspiration and actionable insights for anyone rethinking what success looks like in their life and how to get there.
Hi everyone, welcome to our episode of Success Your Own Way. Today we're very excited to have Bridgette Simmonds, and I will turn it over to Tina to introduce Bridgette.
Yeah, I am so excited to have Bridgette on the show today. She's a transformational keynote speaker, an executive coach, and founder of the Reset Movement, which is a movement redefining success for high-performing women and leadership teams around the world. With more than 20 years in leadership development, business strategy, and human performance, Bridgette is known for helping ambitious leaders break free from burnout, pressure, and high-functioning disconnection. And she creates success that is sustainable, connected, and deeply fulfilling. A professional certified coach recognized by the International Coaching Federation, or the ICF, and a leader featured in the Wall Street Journal, Bridgette blends leadership psychology, nervous system regulation, and transformational coaching to create powerful shifts that move audiences into immediate action. And today, when she's out and about, she challenges those leaders to rethink the way that they live, lead, and succeed. Welcome, Bridgette.
Thank you. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me. So I actually started off on the well-worn path of success, the way that most people tend to, especially as a child of immigrants. My parents are both from the beautiful island of Jamaica, and as first-generation American children, myself and my two brothers, we were very much encouraged to get a degree, get the education so that we could get a great job and live a nice life. And so as the only daughter and wanting to be the good kid and do right by my parents, I've checked all the boxes. I made excellent grades, got a scholarship to the university. I started off trying to follow my dad's dream for me, and his definition of what success was as an immigrant. For that, it's usually a couple of vocations, one being a doctor, another being a lawyer, another being an engineer. For whatever reason, that's the memo of a lot of people in terms of the way to success, ultimate success. So I grew up thinking that I wanted to be a doctor. And if you actually know me, you know I have no business being around anyone's medical emergency. In fact, my response to that is to freeze or faint. And I learned that pretty early, thankfully, in my schooling, as I was pre-med biology major my freshman year and ended up cutting my hand between freshman and sophomore year. In fact, I still have the scar on my hand to prove it. I call it my destiny scar because it really sent me on the path of my destiny. As I was getting stitched up in the hospital, I cut it on a mirror as I was rushing to move all of my things back into my dorm. And the woman that was stitching me up asked questions you typically ask a 19-year-old, like, what college are you going to? What's your major? And when I told her it was pre-med biology, she just laughed so loud. And I asked her, well, what are you laughing at? And she said, you're going to be a doctor and you fainted 2 times on the way here with your little cut hand. And I said, yes, because I was bleeding to death. And she laughed again and she said, you do not have enough blood in that tiny little hand of yours to bleed out. And I said, really? Well, then what was that? She said, you're squeamish. That's what that was. I highly recommend that you consider another major. And to this day, I really wish I could find that woman and remember her name, because she, at that moment, freed me from just blindly and unconsciously living my dad's dream for me, because I was only doing it because that's what he would say constantly. You're going to be a doctor when you grow up, Dr. Bridgette Simmonds. And so I was really trying to make him happy and be successful according to that. So I switched my major to business marketing, the furthest thing away from medicine I could find, and dutifully graduated with my degree, making my parents proud, and then got a job in the marketing field and was pretty underwhelmed at the cubicle society and the quick look at the ladder climbing nature of this business and thought, this cannot be what I've been going to school to achieve. Like, this is not. Have you ever had something where someone describes either a city or a food and they're so passionate about it and you finally get your hands on it and you're like, is this what they were talking about? That's how I felt about corporate America and this new adult position I'd found myself in that I'd been working so hard to achieve. And I was so disappointed. So I'm complaining to my mom and dad about it. And my mom, who is like my original coach, life coach, gives me a book called To Be Told by Dan Allender. And it allowed me to understand why I was put on this earth. This is the purpose of the book. It's the premise of the book. And how it instructs you to find that is to find the common thread that seems to follow you throughout your life or what people compliment you on. There's hints there. And for me, it was talking to people. And so by this point, however, I was making the most money I'd ever made in my young adult life in my 20s. And I didn't want to start over. I'm like, I just finished college to get here to make this money. So I put that knowledge of who I am here for to aside and enjoyed the corporate life, even though I secretly loathed it. But I enjoyed the benefits of it.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that success for a number of years. And then moments of life happened. I ended up getting laid off. So I've been a victim of that. And that moment is what caused me to question, what am I really doing here? What is all of this for? Is this what I really want to do? And that's when I decided to first get a job, another one, so I could pay my bills. But then I decided I would be intentional about seeking what lit my soul on fire and recalling that information I learned from that book by Dan Allender. I thought to myself, I'm going to get paid to talk to people because that's what is the common thread. And so I started to get my master's in psychotherapy on the side. And then I also got my coaching certification, completing that in 2013 and 14, respectively. And then I started my business and moonlighting on the side. And then finally in 2016, I decided to go all in and bet on myself, quit corporate, and the rest is history. And so now what I love doing is supporting other ambitious, high achieving people, particularly women, to reconnect with the truth of themselves, to actually, in effect, redefine what success means, because I found that a lot of us chase it and chase another person's definition of it the same way I did trying to be a doctor because that was going to be successful. And the true success I was seeking was making my parents proud. And once I recognized and reclaimed my own sense of clarity and power about what I truly wanted, I feel the most successful that I've ever felt in my life, even on the hardest of days. And so that's what I love supporting other women in doing through modalities such as coaching and breath work. And I'm actually getting my hypnotherapy certification now. So really dealing with all of the layers and levels of the passionate, ambitious human being to reconnect with themselves and their sense of personal power so that in this very short and blessed lifetime that they can live it in accordance to the truth of who they are.
I I'm so inspired by your story, and I'm still stuck, not stuck on the destiny scar. A part of me almost wants to go and get a tattoo that's kind of gonna have a little sentence of what it is. What it is. I need a destiny scar. Actually, when I started my business, I made a deal with myself that if I make it 5 years, I get another tattoo. So
Okay, we're all getting tattoos. All right, Tina,
we're all
Tina,
going.
are you in? We're gonna get tattoos.
I don't know. I'm a little squeamish myself.
But it's funny. I actually applied for medical school when
Really?
it was time to make decisions, and I applied again. Doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Yes.
Yes, that's the way to go. Actually, my parents were the ones that my mom was like, it's not a happy life.
Wow.
Said you're gonna be with sick people. I know you want to do it, but it's not gonna be an easy life. So that
Oh,
was
wow.
interesting, and I didn't listen to her at the time. The reason I ended up not doing it was because we went to visit. I was volunteering at a hospital. It's kind of like not a medic, but I was moving, labs around, and there was blood on the floor, and I was just like, nope, 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 nope. And yes, never finished the med school application because that was the big no, no.
Yep, it was a no.
Women.
Yeah. Well, I did become an engineer, and I quickly realized that wasn't for me either. So they strapped me into some, a hard hat and some safety goggles and some steel-toed boots and said, go do your work, Tina. And I went, I want to be with people too. I don't want to be under this machine. I don't want to be doing this. But I will say the engineering background is great for catapulting into problem solving and all sorts of things, and coaching and other things too. So I'm glad I did it, but I never did the traditional engineering work,
Yeah.
which is what
So yeah,
I
and I
do.
did end up with engineering. I am an engineer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
We're all in the realm of success.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Go us.
go on.
As you were going about your journey of life here, Bridget, what were some of the big lessons that you learned along the way? Were there any that really stood out for you? Like, ooh, that's a lesson. That's a lesson. Anything like that that's come
Hmm.
up for you?
Oh, so many lessons. I've got way more than three. I could keep you here all day. One big lesson is to trust yourself, to trust your inner guidance, to trust your intuition. I think a lot of us, especially in the ways that we're socialized, look for permission and sometimes think we need permission and other people's agreement or rightness. Like, is this okay? I remember watching. I always say, because one day it shall be so. My good friend Oprah, she always says that it was very fascinating to her that she would interview some of the most powerful, famous, well sought after people in the world. And inevitably, after every interview, and the cameras would stop rolling, they would lean in and ask, "Did I do okay? Was that okay?" And that needing of other people's affirmation and permission really can hold us back. So that's one huge lesson that I've learned is yes, absolutely gaining thoughts and ideas and collaborating with others is hugely useful. And the diversification of thought and of different perspectives is very powerful. And when it comes to decisions about you, your life, your purpose, your destiny, and what you know to be true, developing that sense of personal self trust is paramount.
Hmm.
And so that's lesson number one. Lesson number two, I would say, is that it is so important to prioritize fun, and a lot of people may call it balance, and there's no such thing. No one would ever want to stand on one leg, but life integration, to integrate the things that you thoroughly enjoy and to find what you thoroughly enjoy. I think adults take life way too seriously and forget to play, and being playful, having levity and lightness and doing nothing is absolutely something that should be at the top of the list at all times. And the third big lesson that I learned is that everything always works out. That no matter how dire it may seem, no matter how hard things may be, you can do hard things. And to gather evidence of all the times that it always has worked out, because if it's done so far, then the odds are pretty good that it's going to continue to work out. And if you lean into that trust and your own self trust and you have a little bit of fun along the way, get off the topic and the subject of having to work so hard,
Hmm.
I feel as though there's a level of enjoyment we get to have in this life.
I love. I'm like taking notes. The self trust, and it's such a journey, and it's not a straight line. Um, the self-trust can, it's variable. Sometimes I can feel, yes, on top of the world, I'm trusting myself, this is great, and then a few minutes later an email would take me down. And when I think about it, it's like, whoever wrote that email doesn't actually have that big of an impact on my life. Why am I taking that particular email, that particular request, that particular, sometimes annoyance to take me from the, self trust to the, oh my God, what did I do? So that is something that I try to work through a lot, but it's going back. Like meditation, like always go back to the self trust, but it's a process.
It is. It is definitely a process and it's a practice. It's something it's a level of awareness. If you're aware that in this moment I'm not trusting myself, it's asking yourself, where can I trust myself? Where is there evidence that I can trust myself? And to really have the people that are around you to reinforce that. Like when my clients ask me, what do you think about this? My first question back is always, what do you think? What I think doesn't matter, because I really want to reinforce for them and bolster for them my opinion, my thoughts, my ideas, my inspirations, my feelings are always the most valid. Anything and anyone else's comes secondary.
Mm. I love the practice in coaching where you get to be kind of a mirror to someone else. And that's exactly, I think, what you just described, Bridget, is like, you're asking me, but look at yourself, look at who you are, look at what you can do, look at the evidence you have from the past, look at your vision and dreams for the future, and use those. I'm here to listen and reflect, but it really is all about you. And I think, often I think I get clients, I'm guessing you do too, who come for the answers. And in reality, those answers are within them, and our job is to help them, find them and articulate them and believe in them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's the most empowering and inspiring experience to watch them realize that even if they do come expecting me or some other thing to have the answer, I absolutely geek out on giving it back to them. And even if I have to watch them struggle to find it or remember that, but then when they actually come to that space of knowing, it is magic. It's magical.
It is.
So what you just talked about is the basis of my entire consulting career, which is my passion is, for people, for organization to get to their eureka moment. When I
Yeah.
had to go down to like what really makes me happy is for individuals to just like the minute you see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
And as a facilitator of ideation sessions, like that is the way to get there. If you tell them something, they don't get to that eureka moment.
No,
It's really the questions and kind of seeing them think through it. Oh my, it's just so exciting. People are
it
like,
is.
she's a facilitation dork. Yes, I am.
Yes.
Because it's really what drives me. Like I can be at the end of a really long day and I'm exhausted, and then the second the team is like, oh, what if we did this? It's like, was all worth it.
It's
Was
worth it. It's so
all
worth it. Yes. It's the spark of between humans that is so special.
episode. Even as I was trying to kind of connect, how do I do this engineering and technical problem solving in the food industry and this podcast? It's like because they have that in common. They
Mm.
have the eureka moment. They have the second that someone is listening to something insightful, or like, oh my God, yes, yes. And I said them in Hebrew, yes is have.
Yes.
Um, oh my God, this is so great. And the best, I sometimes will get a note like this was insightful. It really helped me think. This was what I needed right now. And I was like, this is what the podcast has in common with my day job.
That's
Of all of
beautiful.
that.
That's beautiful. Yeah, because listening to other people does stoke that genius within every one of us. And sometimes we're just one insight or one eureka moment away from shifting something in the direction that you've been waiting for. I live with this, I don't always remember, but I do intend to live with this belief that I will always know what to do. Even if there's a bit of a delay, I'm always being guided, and there's messages being shared always around what I need to know in that moment for that moment. Like this morning, I'll be transparent with you. I got one of those difficult emails,
Mm.
and it really was something that I was kind of expecting, kind of not, but really disappointing and hard. And I am a big believer in really moving energy through your body. So I instantly just went to the gym and worked out. And I know the people in the gym were like, what is she going through? Because I was lifting weights and crying at the same time. Now I had noise canceling headphones on. But so I hope I wasn't making noise. I don't think I was. But either way, it felt so cathartic in a way I've never experienced before. And I used to be the type of person that would feel so embarrassed and so self-conscious about that, but I'm growing to a point where I just don't care. Here I am. Oh, but you do your workout. I'm just lifting weights and crying. And so finished that, and then I went for a walk around my neighborhood before I had to come and get ready for my morning appointment. And I look up right before I'm about to enter my building, and there's a truck. And sometimes when trucks get dusty and people write or put things on them with their finger or what have you. So there was like this unicorn someone drew and a rainbow and some sunshine, kind of what kids do when they're younger. It reminded me of when I was a kid drawing on paper that I was given. And right at the top of this impromptu drawing on this dusty truck, it said, "You are beloved."
Hmm.
Oh, I could cry. And that that is those moments, those eureka moments of being able to listen to other people, like through this podcast, is what can keep us going sometimes just the moment that somebody tuned in to listen, that they heard something that they needed to hear that was transmitted through one of us. And
Hmm.
that is the gift that we get to experience in our togetherness in this human experience.
That is so beautiful. That is
Oh, thank
makes,
you.
I got one too this morning. I don't really know, and it was just the tone. It wasn't even what was in the thing. It was the tone of it that just like really flipped
Mm,
me. And then I saw myself like snapping at my kids and being short and being
mm,
impatient. And I'm like, just stop. It's not a big deal. Doesn't really matter. Let it go. Don't give them the control and the power over your day right at 6:30 in the morning. It's
right.
just silly. So such a great reminder. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I heard a
Absolutely.
strategy of to stop and think, is this going to matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, then just like let it go. And
Absolutely.
turns out that very few decisions you're going to make at 6:30 in the morning are going to be important in 5 years.
Absolutely. In fact, in even an hour, it really just like whatever,
It's
it's
true.
okay.
It's very true.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
man. All right. Well, we love to ask our guests about their mentors, Bridget. And so I'm curious what role, if any, mentors have played in your life, or how you like to show up as a mentor to other people.
Oh man, mentors are what's made me be able to be before you right now. And my first and longest are my parents, my mommy and daddy. They their level of belief in me and seed planting of the fact that I could do and be anything has been extraordinary. And it also hasn't gone without them doubting that I needed to quit my corporate job to do this full time either, which devastated me. Which cracks me up. But those are my first and longest mentors, because to come from a country and a small island to the big scary United States as children, and to really none of us knows what we're doing, but to not know what you're doing, have three kids, and to create a life for the three of us, which then has extended into my brothers and their children. I don't have any human children. I have a fur child, but they still impact her too. But just to see that extension of beauty has been so powerful and inspiring, and it lets me know that I can do hard things. Beyond that, I've had excellent mentors. My first coach and teacher, Jen Barley, has been an extraordinary mentor to me when I was really completely lost in the way of how could I turn this into something that I do. Was such a great example. I also have mentors that I don't know personally, but mentor me by their way of being and how I imagine them. I mentioned one in terms of Oprah. Tony Robbins has been a huge mentor. I mean, I could go on and on. I also love Jane Fonda and the way she shows up in the world. She's a huge mentor to me. So I have a long list. Like, there's just people, I don't know if you've ever played the game of who would be at this like pretend dinner party and why. I've got a whole long table of people that I would love to be at this table just having beautiful conversations with. And then as I show up as a mentor, it's one of my favorite things to do. I think I have a mama bear energy that I just I don't think I've had children to this point in my life because I've been a mama to so many, in a way. And I really just love to remind people of how utterly special and important and powerful and lovely they are. And it's so, it doesn't happen enough by enough people. And even if it's a stranger I'm passing in the street that I feel inspired to tell them that they look beautiful, I really enjoy being able to lead my life in such a way that I can pass on a little bit of joy and a little bit of love. Love is my favorite word. It's my favorite frequency. And so that's the way that I tend to mentor others.
I absolutely love it. And just something very small, but I've started recently. Like if I see someone that's like, oh, I love her shoes, I'm gonna let her know.
Yes, do it.
Such a small thing. Like I know that I was like, oh, I feel uncomfortable in this dress, and then someone's like, oh, this dress is amazing. I was like, you just like improved. It's not about the dress. It's about
Yes.
we talked a little bit about the what other people are saying, but use it for good.
Yes, absolutely. Use it to affirm them. And you don't have no idea what that may do to someone because we all have these internal dialogues and these internal critics and gremlins. And it's my favorite thing in the world to do. In fact, there's a spin studio I go to. And so I have a little family that we all convene right outside the spin studio because it's a very unique combination. It's a boba studio or boba restaurant and a spin studio in the same building. So right outside they have these little chairs and tables. So after we spin and do that exercise, we collect ourselves outside these chairs. I call it the stoop. So we're oftentimes just catching up sitting on the stoop. And it's a place where there's Whole Foods, there's a bunch of restaurants, and so there's always people walking up and down the sidewalk, and we love it. If you are walking down this sidewalk feeling fabulous, we will get our phone out and videotape you and hoot and holler like, "Oh my god!" And it's just the funnest thing because we do mean it when they look amazing. And the way that it just changes a person from this serious walking down the street in their head about whatever they're in their head about to, "Oh my god, thank you," is just phenomenal. And then it's also very fascinating because I love people watching and studying humans, how sometimes people can't take a compliment either, that they feel very uncomfortable at you noticing them, even if they look fabulous. So yeah, it's just it's a treat to pass that energy along to people. I love that you do that. Definitely tell people when their shoes look nice.
Yeah.
I got my fill yesterday. My daughter raced in this Girls on the Run. It's a great organization. I think it's at least national, maybe global organization, specifically for young girls who, to not just to go out and run, but to connect with each other and have some self-esteem building and all of that. And these are, 10, 11-year-old girls, and they had their run yesterday. And I mean, it wasn't a huge crowd, but there were enough people there with cowbells and signs and clapping. And the girls that I didn't know or know their names, I was just like, you keep going, you go. And I would see them go from like, who is this, to looking at me, to a smile, to run faster, or, instead of walking, starting to jog. And it reminded me like, yeah, get out there, get out there and tell people that you're proud of them. Get out there. And even if they don't know you, cheering someone on, being seen, and appreciated for the work you're putting in, like that goes so far. Just
so far,
so
far. Yeah. There's a term I've recently heard that I've been using that I love is, would you rather be the thermometer of a space or the thermostat? And if you're the thermostat, you're setting the temperature, you're setting the tone versus just picking up on it. And allowing yourself to read back out to it, and those moments I feel like, Tina, are people being the thermostat, that they're setting the tone because you can see the shift in the transference of energy from person to person in that moment.
I love that. I'm gonna use that one. Yeah. I'm writing that
totally
down.
Yes, it's my fave.
I've been taking so many notes. and I get to listen to this again and again. But
yes, awesome.
taking notes. So we talked a little bit about mentors, and you've been kind of sharing what you're grateful for throughout the episode. But what are you grateful for?
Oh, everything. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my family, for this beautiful space that I call home. I'm grateful for my little fur baby who is just such a joy and a gift in my life. I'm grateful for food, clean water, the ability to travel, the ability to have conversations like this and talk to you both. It's really elevated my spirit today, especially after that hard weightlifting and crying morning that I had. I'm grateful for my gifts and the ability to share my gifts that activate other people's gifts. And I'm truly grateful for this experience that we get to have together in this life. And I'm even grateful for the hard things that make me feel scared and worried and concerned. And I'm grateful for the growth that we get to experience. And really grateful also for friends and the support that I have. Grateful for it all.
You're full of gratefulness and gratitude,
Yeah,
Bridget. We love it. We love it. You're
I
filling our
am.
cups. I can see it in Yifat, and I can feel it
Yeah.
myself. So
My smile is just, if you're not watching this on YouTube, you're really missing out.
yeah, completely.
Did y'all notice how we got the blue memo, by the way,
I
today? This is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
yes.
I
So
was looking at other things in my closet, but this was calling me because clearly we were connected.
we were on the same wave.
Love it.
Universe. Yep.
Ooh.
So Bridget, how can people find you, find more about you, get in touch with you if you're open to that?
Absolutely open to that. You can find me on Instagram, which is my name, Bridgette, Bridgette. And Simmons has a silent D at the end. So Simmonds. And that's actually everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. And then my website is Bridgette, Bridgette.co, without the M. There's no .com because we're co.
I love that.
Yes.
That's awesome. Any final tips that you would give to our listeners today? You talked about your lessons, which I took as tips. Any additional tips or kind of actions that people could take coming off of listening to this fabulous episode?
Yeah, I would say to I'd say the biggest tip I would have is to enjoy this life as though it was the most delectable meal placed on a table in front of you. And you don't need to rush through it, you don't need to scarf it down. Savor every single bite, every single moment, and really lean into it. And if you find yourself not experiencing life in that way where it feels delicious and it feels satisfying, always, always, always remember that you get to choose again and again and again. And as long as you have breath in your body and your heart is beating, you are not stuck. You are not sentenced to this space. You can shift and you can move. And oftentimes, help is required and coaching works.
Totally agree. A beneficiary myself.
Yes, multiple times over. Same here.
Yeah, awesome.
For sure.
Thank you for joining us on Success Your Own Way. We hope you found this episode inspiring and took away actionable insights. Please tune in for our next episode, and if you know someone who is rethinking what success looks like in their life, please share this episode with them.